Everton are preparing a formal bid for one of Celtic's most important players, and a fee has now been reported. Reo Hatate wants out, and his next destination is becoming clearer. There is a positive Jota update that Celtic fans have been waiting on. The Hearts manager has told his players to move on from the title heartbreak, and a familiar face could be heading back to Parkhead. A lot happening this morning, let's get into it. But first, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel for more Celtic content. Greg Taylor's name is back in the Celtic conversation, and this time it carries more weight than the usual social media speculation, with a credible update from one of Scottish football's most reliable reporters, now putting him firmly in the picture. Taylor left Celtic on a free transfer last summer to join PAOK in Greece. The move looked like a sensible next step at the time, but his first season there has been difficult. He made just 18 appearances, and with new PAOK boss Alessio Lisci reportedly not viewing him as part of his plans, his future in Greece looks limited. Journalist Stephen McGowan has now reported in the Herald that a return to Celtic is one of the options actively being considered by the club. In his own words, a Greg Taylor return is another of the options under consideration as the club seek competition for first-choice left-back Kieran Tierney. That is a meaningful shift from fan chatter to something with real substance behind it. Celtic have been looking for left-back cover all summer without landing anyone. James Penrice was looked at and nothing came of it. Will Ferry was another name linked, but again, no movement. Kieran Tierney is currently the only recognised senior option in that position in O'Neill's squad, and with Champions League qualifying coming up, having no cover there is a real problem. Taylor spent 6 years at the club, won 11 trophies, and was transformed under Ange Postecoglou into an inverted fullback who could contribute going forward. He knows how Celtic work. That familiarity and availability make him an obvious low-risk option, while the search for other targets continues. Supporters will be divided. He had his critics throughout his first spell, and there were moments where his limitations were exposed in European football. But right now, Celtic need bodies, and Taylor knows this club better than almost any other left-back they could realistically recruit. Now for the main story, as a fee has now been reported in the chase to sign Alistair Johnston, with Everton preparing a formal approach and Celtic firmly in the driving seat of any potential negotiations. Johnston had an outstanding World Cup with Canada, who reached the last 16 of the tournament for the first time in their history under Jesse Marsh. It was the platform that many expected to bring Premier League interest, and that is now exactly what has arrived. According to the Daily Record, Everton are prepared to go up to around £15 million for the Canadian international. However, Celtic are not in a position where they have to listen. Johnston signed a contract extension in 2024 that runs until 2029, giving the club complete control over any negotiations. No official bid has been submitted yet, but the club have been made aware of the interest. Everton are not alone either. Fulham have previously been credited with interest, and Ipswich Town have also been mentioned in connection with the 27-year-old. The article makes Celtic's position very clear. They already lost Dyson Maida to Ipswich this summer, and they have no desire to further weaken a squad that is preparing for another Champions League qualifying campaign. Unless an offer comfortably exceeds £20 million, Celtic are unlikely to be brought to the table. In 122 appearances for the club, Johnston has won 9 trophies and established himself as one of the first names on the team sheet under every manager he has played for at Parkhead. Replacing that quality in the final weeks of a transfer window would be an enormous task. In other news, Reo Hatate's departure from Celtic is looking increasingly likely this summer, with the Japanese international having already made his desire to leave known and multiple clubs now being linked with his signature. Hatate arrived from Kawasaki Frontale in January 2022 alongside Dyson Maida, who has now completed his move to Ipswich Town. Hatate's own exit has taken longer to materialise, but the direction of travel is clear. His influence at Celtic faded somewhat under Martin O'Neill as last season drew to a close, though he still showed his quality in important moments. His late equaliser at Ibrox, coming off the bench when Celtic trailed 2-0 at half-time, was a reminder of exactly what he is capable of at his best. Stephen McGowan has now reported in the Herald that West Ham are one of the clubs interested in the 28-year-old as they look to reshape their squad following relegation from the Premier League. Clubs in France and MLS have also been mentioned as options. West Ham's interest adds a serious dimension to this story. They are clearly targeting a return to the top flight, and Hatate's energy, creativity, and ability to change games would suit their style. A move to France would offer him European football at a strong level, while MLS would represent a very different path altogether. Celtic still holds some leverage. Hatate has 2 years remaining on his current deal, and the club will not be rushed into accepting an offer that undervalues him. But with Maida already gone and the player himself wanting to move, the expectation is that a deal will be done before the window closes. When he does leave, Celtic will lose a genuinely talented player. He was not always consistent, but when he was on form, he was one of the most exciting midfielders in the division. Finding a replacement of similar quality will not be easy. In other news, there is a welcome update on Jota this morning as the Portuguese winger made a surprise public appearance that has given Celtic supporters a positive boost. Jota has been out since April 2025 when he suffered an anterior cruciate ligament injury during Celtic's title-clinching 5-0 win over Dundee United at Tannadice. What started as a serious setback became even more complicated when setbacks pushed his recovery timeline back further than originally expected. The current expectation is that he will not return to first-team action until around the end of October or the beginning of November. By that point, it will have been around 18 months since he last played a competitive match. For a player who had made such an impact after returning to Parkhead, it has been an incredibly frustrating spell on the sidelines. Celtic have had to plan without him, while he has focused entirely on his rehabilitation at Lennoxtown. The positive news this morning is that supporters spotted Jota appearing in a TikTok video on the club's official account, looking relaxed and in good spirits. He was wearing Celtic's new home kit. It was only a light-hearted clip, but for a fan base that has been waiting a long time for any sign of life, seeing him involved around the club and clearly in a positive headspace was a really welcome sight. He has also been spotted at Celtic Park during the 2-2 pre-season draw with AC Milan, which suggests he is staying closely connected to the group even while he cannot train with them. There is still a long road ahead, and ACL recovery after setbacks requires patience from everyone involved, but the signs are pointing in the right direction, and Celtic supporters will simply be counting down the days until he is back on the pitch. Lastly, Hearts manager Wouter Vranken has told his players they need to move on from the heartbreak of losing the title on the final day of last season as his side prepare for the new Premiership campaign. It was one of the most dramatic afternoons Scottish football has produced in years. Hearts arrived at Celtic Park knowing a draw would be enough to deliver a First League title since 1960. Lawrence Shankland put them ahead, and for long spells it looked like they might do it. Arne Engels pulled one back for Celtic with a penalty before half-time. Then, in the 87th minute, Dyson Maeda found the net. A VAR check for offside held the celebrations for a painful few moments before the goal was confirmed. The reaction inside Celtic Park was unforgettable. Callum Osmond then tapped into an empty net to seal it. Celtic were champions again. That's all the latest Celtic news for today. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and drop a comment below with your thoughts. I'll see you in the next one.